You know, and we all have our 15 minutes of fame, and I'd like to take a couple of my 15 minutes to talk about the rights and the wrongs in the world of professional wrestling.
And it is for the WWE Championship.
This match is for the ECW World Heavyweight Championship.
For the World Heavyweight Championship.
The match and new NWA Heavyweight Champion.
We appreciate you guys coming out and taking your time to support women's wrestling in America.
This match is for the AWA World Heavyweight Wrestling Championship.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Rights and Wrongs of Pro Wrestling Podcast with your host, Mr. Green, and we are into another week, another review. 10 episodes, 10 full episodes of WOW Women of Wrestling has appeared on Access TV for Season 2, and they're chugging right along, and this is the newest episode, and we're going to talk about that in full. Probably do some side tracking like I did, in most other episodes. But WOW will be the bulk of what we're talking about here. And of course, as you know, if you are not if you have not subscribed to one of our platforms, to at least one of our platforms, hopefully you subscribe to more than one. But if you haven't done that, then please go ahead and take the time to hit that subscribe button, particularly if you're listening to this on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, click the bell for the notifications so you get this podcast along with other matches and interviews that we get as the days and the weeks roll on. If you're listening to this podcast in MP3 form on Podbean, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, etc., where all greater podcasts are found, then I'm going to encourage you to subscribe where you are finding that particular podcast, and B, leave a review, man. Let people know that you enjoy the show if you do enjoy the show. And if you're having a hard time following this, or you happen to just stumble across it and you don't know where, when, or how you can find these things, and you can always go to our website, WPNWrestling.com. That's WPNWrestling.com. That is a nexus for everything that we are doing. There's a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week video stream of women's wrestling and women's wrestling content on that channel. So if you're just looking for something, if you're looking for some women's wrestling to kind of peruse through, then I would suggest that you would go onto that channel. Well, not that channel, but you go onto our website and you go pick through, because it is on right now as I speak. And you can find just match after match after match, and interview after interview. All good stuff, especially for us fans of women's wrestling and the women wrestling stars out there. So if you're not just looking to support us, because your listening always supports us. Your liking and subscribing and all that good stuff supports us. But you are also supporting the women wrestlers, because it helps get their name out there. It helps their bookings. The more that they are well known, notified by the promoters and whatnot out there, the numbers matter. That's basically what it comes down to. The numbers matter. When they see that there are people that are interested in that particular talent, it increases the chances that they will get booked. So it is a domino effect, if nothing else. So you want to go ahead and do that. And also, before I roll off of our website, not only is the 24/7 stream there, but you have access to all of the podcasts. You scroll down a little bit underneath the video player, and you will see the widget for the podcast sitting right basically underneath it. Got all the episodes, and they drop in as soon as they are active. They pop right up on that website. So you've got a couple of different ways to show your support, a couple of different ways to follow us, a couple of different ways to stay in tune with what the Women's Pro Wrestling Network is doing at this particular time. Anyway, we are going to go forward with WOW episode 10 and talk about what they have gone on with this particular show. They've This was a very tag team heavy show, and maybe the most tag team heavy show that I've seen on the Wild since Wild has returned, at least this season. But, even with that, they stayed true to the format. I'm not really sure why they showed a recap about the world's heavyweight title. Well, I say heavyweight. Let me rephrase that. I'm not sure why they showed a recap about the WOW world title. They opened up with a show recap like they always do. This is not, uncommon for WOW to do. It just was a little bit odd for me that they were talking about, at least briefly, the championship that, hey, Jungle Girl and the Beast and Tessa Blanchard and so on and so forth. Yes, it's a recap of what happened last week, but that, it had no bearing on anything that took place in the show this week. I mean, not at all. They didn't have an interview with them. They didn't talk to them. Nothing forwarded as far as that particular angle or storyline is concerned. Just seemed a little out of place. It was good, but it was short and it was out of place. So the recap goes into the tag team scene, which is the main event, and that should be what was talked about. There's 1,000 different ways to do something right. So I'm not going to say that this was wrong. I'll say what I prefer was, if we know that we're going into the main event of, we're forwarding for the tag team championship, then I would have preferred that entire recap be that. Let's recap the entire season of the teams that were in it and who were going on now and who got eliminated. Now, I understand, because what the match is, that they probably will do this next week. And that was one thing I did feel like. When I looked at last week's episode, and they talked about, I think it was last week, might have been a week before. Well, when they talked about, hey, you guys won, you're going to the triple threat match in the finals. Maybe they didn't say finals, but to determine the tag team champions, what they did do, they didn't clarify what was going on with that. And as it stands here, this is the first time that I heard that, hey, you going into this match as a triple threat setup, but it's only elimination in that we're going to eliminate one team, and then we'll finish it off later. Which was not the way it was presented. And it didn't make a lot of sense to me that they would do that. It's like, why? You advertise this triple threat elimination match. That was what was said. It is a triple threat elimination match. When they started talking about the main event being that it was going to be a triple threat match, an elimination triple threat match at that, I don't think that they did a good job of clarifying, like, okay, yes, it's a triple threat match, but only one team will be eliminated in this match, and then the other two will fight the next week. I have not seen, up until today, I have not seen a triple threat match work that way. I can't say that is wrong. That would be absurd for me to say that. But I don't understand. Well, no, actually I do. I understand why they did it. They're stretching out weeks of TV, and I get it. We got 24 weeks of television we got to fill, so we got to do it with something. It just seems like, man, come on. This is something that should be over right now. And when I sat there and watched this, like, this match should be the match and should be done. Yes, they can have an elimination match and, one team gone, now it's down to two. But I have not seen one get stretched out over the course of 2 weeks. That's just me, and that's just my opinion. But, you're welcome to leave yours in the comments below. First segment that we have here, the video package that sets up the first match and recaps the Steffi Slaves feud with Abilene Maverick. Basically, the whole deal about her being bullied and so on and so forth. So what we got is Abilene Maverick teaming up again with the Disciplinary with Samantha Smart in their corner, taking on the team of the Bully Busters, who I don't know if they've really gotten a lot of airtime here at this particular season. I know they were in the tag team, well, at least I remember they were in the tag team tournaments. They got eliminated. But as I'm thinking about it, it's like, I don't really. Steffi Slaves, yeah, she was kind of illustrated there for a while, but I don't recall the Bully Busters all that much. Maybe they were there, and I don't just remember because they didn't do anything of major significance. That could be it. But one of the things I wrote down here is that the Bully Busters music is super generic. And that's not really a big deal. And by the way, the match we're in with is a segment 2. Yeah, it's just really generic. Not a big deal, but I mean, really, come on. You know, there's people on YouTube that are dying to make music, and one of them in particular I know does music for wrestling content. So I'm not really sure why this just came off so I don't want to say bad. It just came off as like really bland to me. And I know that they could do better. It might not have been such an issue if I couldn't have heard it as clearly as I did. But I heard it exceptionally clear in this particular episode, so it just stood out like a sore thumb. Anyway, as the match is going on, and we're not going to go blow for blow here, move for move. That's when I do play-by-play, and I'm not doing the play-by-play for a WoW match. But we're going to go to the high points of this, and the high point of it is that the heels did get the advantage over the Bully Busters relatively early, and I mean, following the Bully Busters having the babyface flurry, they did that, but then, we got the heels that take control. Once they got control, that they are doing what heels do, and that's all well and good. There's a moment in the match where Maverick tags herself in to the disciplinarian. Disciplinarian looks like she's not really happy that Abilene just tagged herself into the match. Not sure where that was going, personally, because you would think that they would have some sort of falling out or turn on each other, something like that. Key to Rush takes a beating here, right up until Rush stops a double team and takes out both of the heels. This gives her the opportunity to make the tag to Steffi Slays. Steffi Slays catches the disciplinarian in a sunset flip. The ref counts, but the ref count is weird here. It's like it goes 1, 2, 3, something like that. I don't know what that was about. I looked at it a couple of times. I mean, the recap that they show on their program is edited, so they're like, "Oh yeah, there's a 3 count." But the reality of it is that what they showed in the real time, I guess if you want to call it that. The real-time version is that he paused. He took a big hesitation and went down for a 3 count. Now, in the kayfabe universe, that would be every bit of reasoning for Samantha Smart to be like, we got cheated or something. I don't know. I mean, it was a slow count, and the disciplinary still didn't kick out, so I don't know how she would really spin that. But it was a weird, odd count, almost like it was a botch, or like he was waiting for her to kick out, but she didn't, or something, anything. It just didn't fly. So the end result here is that the Bully Busters win the match. Abilene Maverick and the disciplinarian lose. You don't really get a lot from Samantha Smart in this. We got the heels, and I've said some words about Samantha Smart before, in that I would really like to see her do a little bit more out at ringside. I mean, we've seen some managers here that have really gotten, incredibly active, but I haven't gotten that from Samantha Smart yet. And then, she's walking around with this yardstick. Now, I don't know what the deal is with the yardstick, because truthfully, it's not a very effective weapon in the ring. She took place in a triple threat. Well, not triple threat. A triple team is what I meant. I got triple threat stuck in my head now. She took place in a triple team. One of the Bully Busters on the outside, or near the ropes, I should say. And she got one quick whacking with that yardstick. Now, yardstick does hurt. I'm not saying that it don't hurt. It does hurt. It can be a painful thing if swung hard enough. But one thing that I can't buy in this is that it is such an effective weapon that is going to cause a shift in the outcome of what's going on, or that it would have been more effective than her fist or her feet or something like that. I mean, for a character that is called herself Samantha Smart, she cannot possibly believe that this yardstick is going to be useful in this scenario. But yet she carries it around and does nothing. Doesn't really interfere with the match, didn't grab a leg, didn't distract the referee. Just, she was just there. I'm still out on the verdict of Samantha Smart as a manager. But anyway, as stated, the Bully Busters win the match, and that carries over to the next segment, where Abilene Maverick, in a locker room, much like the one that they've been in before, quits the team, which is a nice video. She basically says that the disciplinary got anger issues or something along those lines, which I'm not really sure if I see, because I'm like, where did she lose her temper in this match? And if she did, where in losing her temper caused her to lose the match. So I didn't understand that. And we're not talking about how the video was shot, because they always shoot the video as well, but it's just the content of the video. The video, that I didn't get. I also didn't know that they were a team aside from the one or two random pairings that they had. So when she comes in there, it's like, I quit. It didn't have an effect on me. I was like, so? Y'all already had, one match that I'm certain of where, you got eliminated in the tag team tournament. So I'm not even sure that they remained a team up until this week. If anything, I guess if they wanted to illustrate the point, they would have showed more video or some interviews with them or something like that. They didn't necessarily have to wrestle, but maybe a backstage segment or maybe something on the Facebook or the YouTube or something to show that they had some sort of what's the word? Not camaraderie. I don't want to say that. Some sort of intent to keep teaming up despite the fact that they lost. But I never got that, so I don't understand, or I didn't understand what Abilene Maverick was trying to say, like, hey, I quit this thing. I don't need to be part of this. You need some discipline, or you need to control your anger and blah, blah, blah. It didn't work. So Abilene storms off, and now you got the disciplinary and Abilene Maverick making, who does she think she is? She can't talk to us that way. You need some discipline, and the segment ends. So, although well shot, I didn't really get where, what was the point of it. Segment 4. We got a Dixie Darlings vignette recapping their feud with what was known as Grits and Glam. At least that's what Jesse Bell. See, folks, if you listen to this for the first time, every once in a while I refer to them as their independent wrestling name. Sometimes I just, I'm just used to saying it because I have called several of Jesse's matches and I'm just used to saying Jesse Bell Smothers. But in this universe, she's Jesse Jones. So what I was getting at was recapping the feud with what used to be Grits and Glam, because that's what Jesse Jones, called the team originally. But now they're being officially referred to as Southern Pride. So we recapped that. We got the Dixie Darlings. They're showing, this young tag team that's in the WOW, and how their feud with Southern Pride got started. This was edited down to make the Dixie Darlings look a little bit more sympathetic than what they were. If you listened to my thing last week, I said that the Dixie Darlings got what they deserved. They were being, basically jerks. So, the commentators try to pass it off like, so they played a prank on Southern Pride like it was all in good fun. But no, I was like, come on, man. They got the beating that they deserved because they stole their boots, and that did contribute to the loss. It makes total sense to me that the team of Southern Pride, Amber O'Neal, Jesse Jones would be upset. So even though it was presented as the Dixie Darlings are babyface and it was just a harmless prank or something thereof, it was not. Not the kayfabe universe. I know you get to control your own history because you own the footage and whatnot, but I can't let that one slide. I just can't. So we go to the next segment, which basically, the video package that we saw, the vignette that we saw the video package we saw up front was setting up for this match, which is the Dixie Darlings versus Southern Pride. And the Darlings started off hot. They started off good, which is what you would expect until they were cut off by Southern Pride. As I'm watching this match, I'm thinking, they need a heel announcer here. I never really advocate for a heel announcer all that often, and I certainly don't want a 3-person booth. I really enjoy just the 2-person booth that they got. I don't want them to change that. But if there ever was a time that would have been a good call to action for having a third person there, or a good reason to have a third person there, this would be the match. Because you got Dave McClain and you got Stephen Dickey, both of them doing a fine job, but they're only calling this from the viewpoint of the babyfaces, the Dixie Darlings. They're not calling it from the viewpoint of Southern Pride. Southern Pride, as I just stated, had every reason to be upset. Southern Pride has just cause to be mad at the Dixie Darlings. And as they talked about, they just weren't good enough to beat the team of Fire and Adrenaline. They tried to blame it on losing their boots. And this is what the commentators are saying. They tried to blame it on them losing their boots, but they just weren't good enough to win the match. Which, again, I was like, now that's absurd. When we just saw the match, we saw her sprain her ankle. We saw that the shoes and the boots and the lack thereof came directly into play for them losing that match. So why exactly would we turn around and say, well, they weren't good enough? This is where a heel commentator would have stepped up and been like, no, that's not the case. You saw what happened. They lost because you wouldn't give them a break. If they got their boots on, they probably would have won. And again, in the kayfabe universe, they probably would have. They went undefeated ever since they got together, or at least up until that point. So what we have here is we got Southern Pride really taking it to the Dixie Darlings. Again, we're not going to go blow for blow, move for move here, but the Southern Pride does a fantastic job of old school wrestling here and manipulating the referee to being where they want him to be so that the other one can take advantage of the situation. So they didn't cheat in the traditional sense of let's get a chain or throw fire in the person's face or something like that. It was all through referee manipulation, which that becomes debatable whether that's cheating or not. It is maybe immoral or cheap, but is it cheating? That is the real debate there. Camera cuts in this. That's another thing. There's a point in the match where one of the Darlings, and I don't know which one, I'm just gonna say Jolene, is driving her way across the ring. She's caught in the front face lock by Jesse Jones, and she's driving her, just pushing her way forward to get to the tag. She finally makes it, and you've seen the spot before. The heel pushes the babyface who's been in the ring there for a long time back across, and the referee stops the new babyface from coming in. But what you didn't see is you didn't see Amber O'Neal distract the referee. For whatever reason, that camera angle was just cut off and it was just missed entirely. I call bad edit on this because, this is a fully edited show. They got multiple camera angles. I found it really hard to believe that they didn't have at least one where they could have shown Amber O'Neal get the referee's attention so that we could see her distract the ref to stop him from witnessing that tag. I guess it didn't matter, but like I said, it's just bad edit. So within this, one of the Dixie Darlings got a busted nose, so we can't say that she didn't put her body on the line for the match or that she's not paying her dues. She certainly is paying her dues. She caught one somewhere along there. I didn't see where, but she caught it, and it's very visible. You see blood all of a sudden on the Jesse Jones' thigh, and on a little bit on Amber O'Neal, and then they get the close up finally, and you see the busted nose on who did I say? Jolene? Yeah, we're gonna start with her. So we have that, and finally, we're skipping ahead here. Jolene makes the tag. Comes in hot. Puts down Jesse Jones, who's the illegal person. But just before she makes the charge into Jesse in the corner, she stops and listens to the fans. That hesitation stops her just enough so when she charges in, hits her shoulder on the turnbuckle. And even though she tries to get a quick punch in on Jesse Jones, she catches it, she being Jesse, and then jumps down to the floor to drape her other arm, the arm that she just hit into the turnbuckle across the top rope. Now, Jesse Jones comes in and she's getting ready to put on her armbar that she has won so many matches with leading up to this point. Amber comes around, pulls Jolene off of the ring apron so she won't be there for a tag. Armbar's locked down. Jolene taps out. In my book, despite the distraction and the referee manipulation, it was a fair win. And it's the outcome that should have happened. Even though the Dixie Darlings are being positioned and set up as, they're a babyface team and you should like them and, they're wonderful and cute and this and that and the other. Despite all of that, I say that it's too early. It's too early for them to be getting this way. It's too, barring anything other than like a fluke roll-up or something like that. The team of Southern Pride should remain strong. I want to see them challenging for those tag team championships. I really do. I think the team of Amber O'Neal, Jesse Jones, pretty good. Reminds me of the Thugs with Jesse Jones' father back in the day. So it would be great to see them get that shot, despite being eliminated from the tournament. Just challenge who's up front, challenge the ones who win the title, which is probably going to be a Drilling and Fire. That's my pick. Now that I actually can pick, but we'll get to that later. So there we go. We got the team of Southern Pride winning the match, sending the Dixie Darlings out. I will make a side note about the Darlings. One thing they mentioned in the match, not the Dixie Darlings, but one thing the commentators mentioned in the match about them is that the Dixie Darlings have been training for about a year, and they've been at our WOW training facility. It's not that they do bad, because they aren't doing bad. They're doing fine. But this is also where I'm like, they probably shouldn't be in the ring right now anyway. Nothing against them, mind you. They just probably shouldn't be. This is the point where they should be on the independents and they should be working out all the kinks. They should be working out all the kinks. They should be working out what they can do, what they can't, what works in front of a crowd, what does not. All of that good stuff. This is the time that they should be doing it. But instead, they're thrown onto a national stage. This is every complaint that I had with some of the people on WOW in its first incarnation. It's not that all of them were bad. It's just that everybody's not designed to be thrown into a national stage immediately. The Darlings had the benefit of being in the ring with two teams who know what they're doing, and they could probably carry a broom to a good match, if they had to do it. Those two teams being the Monsters of Madness, and then you got Southern Pride. So, they were going to get taken care of. But what's going to happen when they get into the ring and they got to lead it? Huh? What's going to happen with that? They should be out wrestling in somebody's armory or high school or something, just in front of 50 people and getting all the stuff out of the system that they can. But unfortunately, because the way WOW is structured, they're going to be placed into high-profile situations immediately. Now, that doesn't mean that, it's going to be necessarily a bad thing for them. Some people do very well, and they thrive, and they learn, and they do well under pressure. I don't want to say complaint. That's probably not the right way to put it. The issue that I have is that even though some people do well under that, others don't. And it's forcing them into a situation where they have to be much better than they are already. So, time will tell. They may turn around and be the best team that WOW's got. But just judging off of how they bounce off the ropes, something as simple as that, I'm like, yeah, they probably need to be doing this just a little bit more, someplace else. But fortunately for them, they do have the benefit of being in the ring with some veterans, Amber O'Neal, Jesse Jones. You know, that you're going to learn a lot when you step in the ring with some vets, and that's probably as good as it's going to get for them. So maybe a couple of more matches with them, something like that. You know, if they're lucky, they'll take them on the road with them, because I know Jesse Jones and Amber O'Neal, or Jesse Bell Smothers and Amber O'Neal, whichever you prefer. They seem like they're doing this team thing legit. I've seen them traveling and posting stuff on Facebook and Instagram. You know, they're taking bookings and whatnot. So, you know, maybe the Darlings could stand to just ride with them and go someplace and work some matches. You know, just show up some of these little small venues and where nobody really know or care, where they can, you know, get that thing learned. You know, if you're going to mess up there. Don't mess up depending on them to edit it out on television. Segment 6, the video package setting up the next match is Chloe Hertz versus Faith the Lioness, which is basically Lana Star is, we'll say in a dressing room setting with Lioness. She's getting ready and she's saying, look, you know, in so many words, we got to change things up and, you know, start doing it my way. And Faith is like, all right. You know, it's just that simple. So we move from that and we go to the next video package, which is about Chloe Hertz and her ring rats, illustrating how they have contributed to her loss. Like, for the wins that she's gotten, here's how they messed up. So, you know, the purpose behind that package is basically to show why they are not with her now. And, you know, I guess that she could do better on her own, or as the old stage play said, I could do bad all by myself. Ugh, that was a horrible connection, but still, yeah. So we go to the next match. Now this is the one and only singles match in this show. Everything else tag matches, all tag matches. This is the one that they've got. Faith the Lioness and Chloe Hertz. Now Lana Star comes out first, and she sets the tone, but she gets on the mic, and, you know, we're going to change things up. We're tired of, you know, how this has been going, and, you know, things are going to be different from now on, which I'm fine with that. And then Faith comes in, and she comes in with her dancers, and she performs. This is a babyface entrance. That was the first thing I had, and I wrote down, well, first thing I wrote down was this a lip sync show. I mean, I'm sure she actually sings the song, but, you know, at this particular point, she ain't doing it live. It's not like when Road Dogg would come out there with R-Truth and they would rap on the way to the ring, or getting rowdy and all that stuff like that, or who else? Sir Mo from Men on a Mission, if you want to go back in the day a little bit. It's not like it was a live performance. This is just, you know, her lip syncing to her own song, and I guess there's nothing wrong with that, but it is a lip sync all the same. The next thing I wrote on here, is she a heel? This is my notes as I'm looking at this. It's like, is this woman a heel? Why is she doing this? This is about as babyface an entrance as you're going to get. I'm coming out here with dancers and I'm performing. I'm putting on a show for you people. That's babyface. Why is she doing this? And she's with Lana Star. Is Lana Star babyface too? I don't understand. I know Chloe Hertz has been presented as heel in this equation also. This is one of those things I said in those earlier podcasts. Why, you know, we've got so many heel versus heel matches. And this is another one. It's a heel versus heel match on paper. But the reality of it is that Faith is a babyface in this match. So we've got that. Chloe, as I said, enters without her rats. We start off to the match. There's a nice little reference to Rob Van Dam, because if you don't know, Chloe Hertz is dating, if not married to at this point, to Rob Van Dam. I think Stephen Dickey was the one that put it out. He basically said there's a 5-star gentleman out there that likes Chloe Hertz. And so I thought that was a nice touch for him as a commentator. I thought it was a nice little underscore reference. Faith hits a spinning heel kick, knocks Chloe down, goes for the cover. Chloe gets her foot on the ropes. Lana pushes it off. She does what a good manager should do. I love this. And Chloe kicks out anyway, But it starts to open up this dialogue of what the hell, what happened, why are you doing this? Like that is the look that Chloe Hertz is presenting, and she's talking to Lana. She's not talking to the referee. She's looking at her saying all this. I mean, she's not literally saying what the hell, but you get the point. So she reestablishes her control, gets what I call the 3 squat Samoan drop in on the Lioness, puts her down. Lana Star jumps up on the apron and starts distracting Chloe. And Chloe's like, okay, what are you doing? What are you doing up here? So I could buy this. I could buy the annoyance. I could buy that she's distracted. One thing that I couldn't buy, or the 2 things I couldn't buy in this, is that Lana breaks out the old bedazzled mirror and shows Chloe the mirror. Now, Chloe, for whatever reason, is just taken with this, like, oh yeah, I look good. And, now this woman is not there for you. She's not your manager. She's not your friend. I mean, I guess it's the old honor amongst thieves scenario. But, it's like, come on, we know that this isn't anybody that came to the ring with you, and she doesn't have your interests in mind. So why would you get caught up in this? But she does, and she turns around, and then she gets smacked in the head with the mirror, which is the other thing I can't buy. How is this mirror knocking her out? Why is this mirror knocking her out? It's ridiculous. So she goes down after being hit in the back of the head with the mirror. Chloe Hertz is out for the count. 1, 2, 3. Faith the Lioness wins. So she recovers from squash that she had last week with the Beast, and she's back in a winning position. Faith the Lioness is another young lady that is in WoW that I say that there's, of the ones that I've seen that are out of the WoW factory, we'll call it, she comes out to me as one that has arguably the most potential, and I really want to see her go wrestle elsewhere. I'm not saying that she should quit WoW. That is not the thing I'm putting off here, but I would really love for her just to take some independent bookings, man. I mean, look, she's got a lot of potential. I think that she could be maybe one of WoW top girls if she really stuck with it. Well, she'd probably be a top girl in WoW anyway, but a top wrestler in general, where if she just had some other matches, learned some different styles, wrestled in some different venues, wrestled in front of different fans, all of those things count. And I think most wrestlers will at least admit that to you. Being in front of fans in one area is different than being in front of fans in another. Like being in front of the ones that's coming in to see a TV taping is different than those hardcore fans that pay $10, $15, $20 a month to go watch their local wrestling show. It's different than wrestling in the North and the South or the Midwest. It's different wrestling in a big city opposed to a rural area. So all of those things matter. I mean, as long as she's there, she's going to be very protected, because I don't think that WoW's ever going to do anything that's going to put her into a ill position as far as working is concerned. I mean, they got a televised crowd. They edit the show down. So, I mean, it should be fine in that regard. But as far as her in-ring work and how good she can become, because she certainly isn't bad. But as far as how good she can become, I would really like to see her take that leap and wrestle a few other places. That is the absolute truth. Final segment of the show. The Monsters of Madness versus Fire and Adrenaline versus Siren and the Holidead. Why didn't this tournament end here is my note that I put down. And I answered that question earlier. I know why. Answer simple. They're stretching it out. They want, they got to get weeks of TV. I get it. But it just felt like this should have ended right here and right now, and they should be crowning tag team champions. However, they didn't, and we know that this is going to go to the following week, so at least we know that the end is in sight. That's great. I put my prediction out for this a week ago, and I got pretty much what, at least the finals. I got what I was predicting. I just expected it a different way. We got the babyface team, Fire and Adrenaline versus Siren, Holiday, and the Monsters of Madness. one thing I knew for certain with this is that the babyface team is not going to be eliminated. That was what I walked into this match with. I said, there's no way that they're going to knock them out of this tournament. That's not going to happen. Either the Monsters of Madness have to lose or Siren and the Holidead have to lose. In this particular case, I only picked Siren and the Holidead because they had another storyline going on. They had the thing with Princess Ozzy. I expected Ozzy to do something or something involving her to take place that would get them booted out. But that didn't really happen. So anyway, as far as the match goes, we had a couple of good high spots here. I shouldn't say high spots. That's probably the wrong thing. But a couple good spots in the match that, were very entertaining. Fire and Adrenaline were basically designed to take the beating here. Not only are they the babyface team, but they're the smallest team, smallest pair, arguably, in all of WoW. I mean, maybe Sassy Massey and Chantel Cello is about as small. I guess that would be it. But in this match, they definitely are the smallest. So Fire, there's a portion in there where Fire, Kiera Hogan, for those who know her on the independent circuit, is in there with Havok, which is a big size difference. Havok's got her up in a following slam position. Fire is able to save herself from danger by slipping out and then tagging in Siren, which is, your first shot of seeing a heel versus heel exchange. And there is an exchange between the teams, which basically boils down to Holidead and Havok facing off against each other, where it is Holidead, trying to knock her over, her being Havok. She runs into the ropes, hit a shoulder block, Havok doesn't go down. She runs into the ropes again. There's a leaping shoulder block, Havok doesn't go down. And now she's like, okay, one more time. And she gets ready to run over, and then she makes a quick tag to Adrenaline, grabs her, and tosses Adrenaline into the middle of the ring. It was a brilliant tag by Holidead, and she more or less pantomimes the situation like, here you go, she's all yours. So Adrenaline now becomes the legal person in the ring, and she's getting beaten up by the Monsters of Madness. As this kind of pushes forward, there is another point in the match where Holidead tags herself in because Adrenaline makes the tag. She was getting a beating, but she does manage to get her tag into her partner. Tags in Fire, but as that's going on, and you'd have to really pay attention because even the commentators didn't call it. They called it in reverse. But what happens on screen, and I'm really surprised that I'm having to correct it, is that when Havok gets up, she gets up near the corner of Siren and Holidead tags herself into the match. And the only reason I saw this because when I heard the commentator say Havok tagged in Holidead, you can see the exchange between the two of them. I was like, that don't look like somebody that tagged out voluntarily. It looks like somebody that was tagged out and they weren't ready for it. So I rewound what I was looking at, and I watched it again, and then you can see, like I said, in the top corner, that quick tag into the back by Holidead on the Havok. And so now the exchange that you're seeing in the scene or in the ring, I should say, makes sense. They are beefing with each other, but they're beefing with each other because, what are you tagging me out for, blah, blah, blah. While they're doing that, Fire runs across, gives a double drop kick, trying to, kick in the advantage. So we got that happening. It is not the last time that we see a forced tag into the ring. We got one of those a little bit later on. The babyfaces, the story here, the babyfaces are fighting huge odds because neither one of those teams are really looking out for them. And in this case, I enjoy it because, it's heel versus heel, but it's heel versus heel, and it makes sense. We're both tossed into the scenario where we're looking to get the tag team titles, and you just happen to be in the ring with me. You just happen to be in my way. So in that regard, the heel versus heel thing works, and it also works because we got the babyface team right in the middle of that. Holidead shows big strength here. Catches Havok in a spine buster at least once. Pops the crowd there. And she also hoists Havok up in a fall-away slam position. Now, bear in mind, Havok has also tagged herself in the ring at some point in this match, too. But it boils down to Holidead and Havok. Which, now that I think about it, I probably need to go back through because they had a big cluster at one point. It's like, you know what? I'm not even sure if Havok or Holidead was supposed to be the legal person, but, you know, it doesn't matter now, but it'd be interesting to see whether they actually got it right. So, big shows the straight by Holidead. She gets Havok up one more time into this following slam. Havok is able to slip out of it, and then she nails Holidead with a big move. 1, 2, 3. They are eliminated. And it will be the Monsters of Madness versus Fire the Driller in the finals. It is a tough call to make who would win this match because I don't know if I've seen a heel team win in a a tournament setting before. They've won matches and they won titles, but I don't think they've won championship, right off the bat. So I'm just going to go ahead and put Fire the Driller. I think Fire the Driller going to win the tag team championship first. I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know how they're going to overcome their odds. I don't know how they're going to get past Havok and Hazard. But I am going to stick with the prediction that it is going to be Fire and the Driller to win the championships first. That would be interesting to see how they pull it off. But, yeah, I'm going to go with that. Even though I think they're going to take a tremendous beating from Havok to do it. And that's probably going to be the real key is that they're going to have to get Hazard in the ring and pin her, maybe. Because we've already seen Havok utilize the old strength and that she's capable of carrying two people around, particularly that size. And doing a big move like that big double follow-away slam she did with, I was about to say Ray Lynn, but Chantilly Chella and Sassy Massey. So next week, we will finally find out who is going to be the tag team champions, and I can't wait. Although, I will say, I think that, this is the time where Cage Heat, if they were ever going to show their faces back up, they should do it. It's a story just waiting to be told with them. I mean, it's just waiting to be told. And how they missed that, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if either one of them actually want to even be wrestling these days. I mean, I get the impression that Loca does, but I don't know if she wants to. I know she'd be willing to, but I don't know if she wants. And as far as Cage Heat, I mean, not Cage Heat, but Delta a lot of pain. She's in Atlanta, which shouldn't be a big deal because at least two people in that match, this triple threat main event, are also from Atlanta, so they should have means to get her out there if she really wanted to go, if she was available. It would be nice, storyline-wise, to see the babyface team win, and then the team that claims that we never lost it show back up. That would be cool, at least for me. So, in any case, and I apologize if you have heard any coughing. I tried to edit most of that out. I'm getting over a cold, but I'm still obligated to do these podcasts because of agreements that I've made. So, and I don't have anybody to step in and do these for me, folks. So, I gotta take care of that when I take care of it. But anyway, it was fun because I enjoyed the show. And like I said, it's a little bit tag team heavy, but there ain't nothing wrong with that in my book. They can just do what they're doing, and it works out. I think they did a fine job here. The one thing that I wish that would have changed, as I've said a couple of times now, I thought that they should have just ended this here. It shouldn't be going into another match to find out who the tag team champions are. We should have found it out right now. But we got another week, so it's another main event, and we know what that's going to be. And I guess we'll figure out what the subsidiary matches underneath that will be following. And with that, that's it, man. That is the entirety of the show. I mean, it was pretty quick. I don't know why it felt quicker this week than it would on a normal week. But yeah, it was a pretty quick show, and thus a pretty quick review. I don't think there was anything over the top or any big storylines that we could really discuss. It was pretty straightforward, almost as if it was a primarily a wrestling show. You know what? I think that's the big difference here. Normally we see all these video packages and vignettes and things that take place behind the scenes, and how's this going and how's that going? How's this going to affect this person and so on and so forth. We really didn't get a lot of that. We didn't get the in-ring interview or a big to do about video packages and set the stage for I guess the tag team matches. Yeah, they did, but it just wasn't as long. So that's probably a large part of why this feels different and why it feels more like a wrestling based show, and it does, or it did. So I guess that will do it. We've got this wrestling-based show, which is a little bit outside of the Wild wheelhouse, in my opinion, but they did a fine job with it. We've got the Monsters of Madness and Fire Adrenaline going to show back up next week. And I guess it should be noted that in the main event, that Fire Adrenaline, although they didn't lose because they weren't pinned or submitted, they didn't win either, or if you said they didn't win, they didn't lose either. Either way, they were outside the ring when all this took place. So when you see that the Monsters of Madness have won, and the camera goes to Fire Adrenaline, you can see the concern immediately on their face, which I thought was a great job. It's like the last thing we want to be in there is being there against those two, but that's what we got to do. So it should be interesting, if nothing else. That, folks, is the review. That is all that was going on. My throat is really starting to bug out on me, so I'm going to finish this thing on up. But I will say, if you are on the Women's Pro Wrestling Network YouTube channel, be free to go through and check out a lot or some of our videos featuring matches that got some wild superstars in it. I sent one recently to Nina Monet, who you know is Siren, and showed her, which I believe is her first singles championship win. And the comment I got back was, the glow up is real. And and that's not even the only one. I got matches with her first big singles championship, her tag team champion, and to see the transition that she has gone through over the last few years is amazing. It's simply amazing to see her and how she found this persona that she wants to be and become, and she has really sunk her teeth into it. And WoW is more or less conforming to her whim. Just thought I'd put that in there, considering, like I said, we got a couple of people in there that are actually from Atlanta. Of course, advertised from Atlanta is Kiera Hogan and Fire. But there's a couple of others, throughout the roster, excuse me, that are in and out of Atlanta as well. But we won't go through all that now. Anyway, that was just a little sidebar. So, folks, that is it. This is the end of the review. I appreciate you taking time to listen in and for all of my thoughts and comments on how this thing plays out. I want to see your comments, particularly as regards to the Dixie Darlings. Did they get what they deserve? And also, did you care for this main event? How did you like it? I mean, forget the match. Forget how good or bad the match was. Did you want to see the Tag Team Championships decided this week? Or did you think that the Tag Team Championships were going to be decided this week? Just leave your comments. Email me, mrgreen75@hotmail.com. And that should do it, folks. So for myself, Mr. Green, the Women's Pro Wrestling Network, and this podcast, I would like to tell you that this is Mr. Green saying so long, and we'll see you on the next go-round.